Welcome to the contest of the century. Which flagship smartphone takes the best videos? You probably think that the answer is the iPhone 14 Pro, but I promise you, by the end, you will be very surprised by the results. From our perspective, it seems that the iPhone 14 Pro is definitely not the best phone to take videos with anymore. We basically tried every single camera angle you can think of, both in daytime and nighttime conditions. Wide, ultra-wide, front camera, 8K, you name it, we have it. It's time to let the facts speak. Real quick though, if your phone's optical image stabilization is not that good, you won't be able to shoot videos in 4K while moving around. Thankfully, all of them were pretty good with little movement, and we were able to get the results that we wanted to see while maintaining that crisp 4K quality. However, running around with these phones even while using active stabilization caused problems, especially for the Oppo and Xiaomi flagships who also drastically lowered the resolution. Take for example the Find X6 Pro. Notice how the resolution goes down to 1080p because we turned stabilization on, and even then, it's just not good enough. With the use of the Hohem iSteady M6 gimbal though, not only were we able to achieve very stable footage, it also allowed us to keep stabilization off and shoot in 4K. With an upgraded 3-axis design and a brand new anti-shake system, the iSteady M6 has been one of my favorite gimbals to test. I especially like the magnetic field light with built-in AI vision sensor tracking. It's really easy to attach and use, and it has AI tracking without the need for the app or a Bluetooth connection. It also has gesture controls to increase ease of use. If you make the OK sign with your hand, it will start the AI tracking. When you show your palm, it will promptly stop. It also doubles as a light that you can change from warm to cold. A cool feature it also has is shooting a time-lapse by choosing A and B waypoints. What this does is turn the phone from one spot to another over a set amount of time to achieve the perfect time-lapse that you desire. 18 hours of battery life, charging your phone with the gimbal, and a very neat OLED status panel are also included. If you like what you see, I highly recommend you to check out Hohem's gimbal by clicking the link in the description. For now, let's get back into the videos. First video is a very cool angle, almost as if it's in a movie. The Oppo Find X6 Pro's video looks really nice with good detail in the shadows, but the white balance is slightly too warm. The Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra also has a lot of visibility in the dark areas, but the colors are a little bit washed out. The iPhone 14 Pro has the best colors and white balance adjustments, as well as the best highlights, but I could have been a little more visible. These three are very good all around, as the Xiaomi 13 Pro loses out ever so slightly because of the highlights and a lack of detail in the shadows coming together. The second video is a view of the Berliner Dome. The iPhone looks to be the best in managing the shadows and overall has a nice clean look, but I must praise the Xiaomi 13 Pro when it comes to preserving details. Check out the statue on the left, and while you're at it, let's also crop into the TV tower. Xiaomi has done some really impressive work with their video capabilities in circumstances like this. The Find has found a good balance as well, with the Galaxy falling behind a little this time as it has the least amount of detail in the foreground and the background. The third video is a horizontal one, as I personally take more videos this way. Oppo is quite dark and not what I'm looking for when wanting a balance between the sun and the shadows. Even the sky looks darker than it was that day, which is quite interesting. The Galaxy's footage is indeed brighter, but even though this is a Snapdragon device, the lack of sharpness and slight blurriness does get annoying from time to time. I'd like to see those plants just like how I saw them in real life, like in the footage of the iPhone. This is definitely preferable to what I just witnessed, as the video is sharper and the details are more visible, showing us that Apple is still ahead of Samsung in this area. Xiaomi though is continuing to go head to head with Apple. Great details, great color, and I especially like how the plants in the sky look and have no problems with giving their flagship 4 points. Still though, the consistency of Apple is most likely gonna be too much for the Chinese giants. Notice how the iPhone nailed this video, especially in terms of dynamic range, but I have to say that the video of the Find almost looks perfect. Great bokeh, nice skin tone, and natural shadows. It could have been a bit brighter, but definitely not as bright and saturated as the 13 Pro and the S23 Ultra, leaving them with the last 2 spots respectively. The next footage is a really nice one, at least for me, because I really like wooden doors that look like this. Oppo once again looks super cinematic. I'm loving the detail and the colors. Xiaomi will take 3 points, tied with the iPhone, as its highlights are better but the color reproduction is better on the side of Apple. Samsung takes 2 here as the footage is pretty average. Moving on to another horizontal shot, Oppo is continuing to impress. Just look at the details on the columns and also the ground and how everything looks in focus and clear. You will be shocked when we show you the same footage, but this time on Samsung's side. Keep your eyes on the ground and the shadows as you switch back and forth between the shots, and you'll praise Oppo on how much they raised the bar in 2023. The iPhone is, as always, showing a solid performance, but even it doesn't have the same amount of clarity and detail that the Find X6 Pro was able to produce in the same scene. Regardless, they will take home 3 points along with the Xiaomi 13 Pro, as the footage coming from both phones are almost identical, with some differences in color science and white balance as they balance each other out. At nighttime, it's definitely not going to be an easy task to choose a favorite. The scene looks fine on most of them, but when I get close to the camera, then we start to see the big differences in white balance and skin tone. We think that the Find X6 Pro and the iPhone 14 Pro are very similar in quality, as the Galaxy and the Xiaomi 13 Pro are slightly worse, as the blue and red complexion of the videos are too much to ignore, giving them 2 points each. The next video is an even more difficult scene for the phones, but Oppo and Xiaomi are outperforming with better color accuracy and detail. The iPhone's footage is very warm, and the Galaxy's color reproduction and blurriness are a bit disappointing, leaving them behind the Chinese giants, which is starting to cause trouble for Apple. In this horizontal night shot, we lowered the exposure for some cinematic greatness. Oppo did a very good job here, though the building could have been a bit more visible. The Galaxy had the best result when focusing only on the lamp and the visibility of the tree, but the huge amounts of noise unfortunately takes it down a peg, as it didn't have to keep the tree this bright and noisy. The iPhone is just dark. Very dark. I think even Batman couldn't find his way around here, as he wouldn't be able to see. The Xiaomi 13 Ultra is not too different, but it still looks better than the iPhone here, with lesser noise around the light and more neutral colors. The last video is with automatic settings. What can I say, Oppo once again just looks the best, and not just the best, but this is a very good, maybe even the best video I've seen on a phone so far. The Galaxy is way worse than what the Find X6 Pro showed us, as you can see, and you're going to lose your mind when you wait a little longer, because when you see the iPhone at night, your reaction will most likely be, what in the world is this? Very warm white balance with a ton of blur on the left side. Well done to the Xiaomi 13 Pro though, as this is a close performance to what the Find put up, giving it the 3 points with much higher quality than Apple and Samsung at night. In surprise fashion, the winner of the main camera video category is the Oppo Find X6 Pro, overtaking the king of videos, the iPhone 14 Pro. I was very impressed with the performance of this phone, and Oppo has definitely made all of these updates count. The iPhone is actually going to be coming in 3rd place, as even though it was 2nd place in daytime, the bad performance at night led the Xiaomi 13 Pro to a 2nd place finish. The S23 Ultra couldn't hang in there, as smartphones are coming out way better than before, overtaking the older competition. That was crazy in every sense of the word, and 2 other words that I really enjoy are like and subscribe. So, how does everything look when we take videos with the ultra-wide camera though? Well, the iPhone looks to be retaking the crown. Everything from the dynamic range to the details on the far side of the river just look better, as the S23 Ultra is a close second. The Xiaomi 13 Pro has a heavy magenta look across the sky, so it will take 2 points along with the Find X6 Pro. Chilling on the roof, the iPhone once again looks very crisp and high quality. I actually like the colors of the S23, but there are much lesser details in the shadows. Xiaomi once again is looking better than Oppo here, as I don't think it is even necessary to explain why the Find X6 Pro is only going to be getting 1 point in this one. Lastly, looking at an ultra-wide video horizontally, Oppo's footage is once again mediocre. The details are okay, but it's very bright and hard to look at, which will cause problems for Oppo when filming in sunny weather conditions. The Galaxy S23 Ultra though is unfortunately even worse. Everything in the frame is lacking so much detail compared to the others that it feels like I'm watching a blurry video. This becomes especially apparent looking at the iPhone's ultra-wide video, as not only are the colors on point, the details are as well, with adequate sharpness to go around. Xiaomi takes 2nd place after the iPhone, as even though it's not perfect by any means, we think that it still did a better job than the first 2 phones that we checked out. At night, the iPhone starts to take the lead due to that famous word, consistency. Ultra-wide cameras are hard to get right, and hardware is not everything. I would go as far as to say that it's the only usable one, as Samsung is pretty blurry and the Oppo alongside the Xiaomi is very dark and noisy. Horizontally though, things change. The Find X6 Pro is kinda doing okay with decently stabilized footage, but one must admit that the S23 Ultra looks better with stabilization as well as controlling the noise that plagues the top part of the footage. The iPhone was surprisingly worse than expected here because when the frame is larger as it is when you shoot horizontally, you're able to see vibrations and noise much more easily. Regardless, the amount of noise on Xiaomi's ultrawide camera is just insane and can't be ignored, giving them only 1 point. Ultrawide is a different beast, as most phone companies don't put nearly the same amount of effort into perfecting it as they do with the main camera. Apple comfortably takes this as Samsung comes in second, Xiaomi third, and Oppo fourth. Did you think we forgot about something? No way, Jose. The S23 Ultra and the Xiaomi 13 Pro can both shoot in 8K. The Galaxy's footage looks great, especially with the stabilization being on point. I also like the natural colors of everything in the park, as 8K is surely on the way to becoming an industry standard. The Xiaomi 13 Pro has punchier colors than the S23 Ultra, and when I think of it, I'm used to this being the other way around. The stabilization is also good enough, and I'm really enjoying this high quality and detailed 8K footage. Both of them will get an extra point for the effort in my book. And lastly, we have the front cameras. Let's start off with night, as this is just much funnier. Honestly, none of them are good, but the one that's slightly usable is the iPhone. The rest are only going to be good enough to get 1 point each, and even then, I would probably give half a point if I could. In daytime, Xiaomi's software is killing me here with that auto exposure balancing. The S23 Ultra and the iPhone 14 Pro are pretty much equal, as Oppo gets 2 points with a decent enough video. What's up guys? Well, we were thinking, as we're doing all types of video comparisons, it kind of makes sense to look at the front camera and at the same time also look at the audio quality. So what you were listening to in the last, I would say 5 to 10 seconds was the audio quality of the Oppo Find X6 Pro. Here is the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. As you know, this year they were released with a global Snapdragon chip instead of the usual Exynos, so we did expect some upgrades, but there were some positives and negatives that we will talk about. Over here is the ever so consistent iPhone 14 Pro. Now, iPhones have always had great video quality, but this year you might be surprised because I think one of these phones actually can take even better videos with the wide camera than the iPhone. And here is the Xiaomi 13 Pro. It's a very good camera phone, but the problem is Xiaomi is not always up to tune with their software, so this might cause some problems for them in the long run. Audio-wise, our favorite is the Find X6 Pro. A good amount of noise cancelling, but the voice is also really clear. The Xiaomi 13 Pro is also pretty clean and crisp, but not as good as the Oppo, and it also faces more problems with the wind. Apple has the most noise and also struggles with the wind, and Samsung has its own set of problems with extreme noise cancelling that kinda drowns out my voice, which brings us to our conclusion. Oppo comfortably took the best videos with the main camera, and the same could be said for Apple taking ultrawide. 8K is a tie between the two phones that have this mode, with the front camera going to the iPhone as it's way more usable at night, with audio quality going the way of Oppo. Overall, which phone do you think takes the best videos, and do you agree with our results? Congratulations to Oppo and somewhat Xiaomi for chasing Apple out of the park, and we'll see what Apple has to say with the iPhone 15. Like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and I will see you soon.